Hi, minasan, konnichiwa, and welcome to the Board Game Dojo, where sometimes we use communication to learn more about board games and the people who illustrate them. Today, I am honored to have not one, but two special guests to the show. First of all, I think probably the most important one to the audience is she is a graphic designer, a DTPer, and an illustrator for lots of doujin games, including lately a lot of trick-taking games, like one that we've recently been playing, Somnia, which I really love what you did with the box on this one. But lately abroad, she has been lately linked with 535's reprints and Nana. So please welcome to the Board Game Dojo, Sai Beppu. Sai Beppu, hello.
Hello. Good morning. Good evening.
Hello. It's
Yay.
evening. It's evening for you, right? It's like 9 p.m. there.
Yes. 今、日本では、そうですね。9 p.m. Yes.
Oh my gosh, 9 p.m. You're doing this. Thank you. Thank you. And of course, important to me personally, for the first time on the Board Game Jojo, she is showing her face, but she is constantly a part of the Board Game Jojo. It's my Tsumachan. Hi, Tsumachan.
Hi, how are you?
I can see you from across the room. Hello.
Hi.
Hello, everyone. It's Eric from the future. Just want to let you know what you're going to see and hear during this interview. So this interview took place 99% in Japanese, but to make it easier to listen to for our podcast audience and those on YouTube to follow along, you are just going to hear my question in English, see Sai responding if you are on YouTube, but hear Tsumachan's English translation dubbed over it. If Sai gave an English response, you'll hear Sai's voice instead. If you hear me say something in Japanese, I immediately said it in English the next sentence. So there shouldn't be anything in Japanese during the interview that isn't translated. Okay, that's that. Hope you enjoyed the interview. Let's get back to it. So my first question, though, is a very important question, and it is actually for both of you. Are you team kinoko or team takenoko? Takenoko no ha or kinoko no ha? This is a very important question to start the interview with. For those who are not in Japan, while you are thinking, for those who are not in Japan, there is a very popular battle between Meiji snacks. So takenoko is a chocolate-covered cookie, and kinoko is a chocolate-covered cracker. And it is known as the, what is it, takenoko kinoko no senso, right? The takenoko kinoko war. It's like a mushroom bamboo war.
Yes.
So, Sai-san, which team are you? Takenoko no ha or kinoko no ha?
Actually, I'm neither takenoko nor kinoko. I'm team kirikabu.
That's cheating. Zuru kashikoi desu.
That's Buddhable, not Meiji.
I like this.
Okay.
Yeah, not mushroom, no, yes, kirikabu.
Okay.
Yes.
今日のお客さんだからそれは大丈夫です。けど、普通にそれはずるいです。Because you're today's guest, that's okay. But usually that's cheating. You can't do that. And Tsumachan, you're...
I prefer kinoko. I prefer kinoko, usually.
Kinoko no ha.
Kinoko ha.
Kinoko ha?
Kinoko ha.
Kinoko ha.
All right. That was just a warm-up question, so we can get used to each other. Just a warm-up. Shimashita. All right. So now we're going to get to the actual interview questions. So the first question for you, Sai, that I want to know, and I try to ask this for everybody, is how did you get interested in card games and board games?
First off, I started playing games with my friends. At the time, Werewolf was really popular, but you needed a lot of people to play that game. So, I found One Night Werewolf at the store and decided to buy it because I could play with less people. That's what got me started in board games and card games.
Oh, that's really cool. I really like One Night Ultimate Werewolf. That was one of my first board games as well. So, and I used to play it with my students in high school. My students love One Night Werewolf.
Oh, really?
I think because they could kill the teacher and it would be okay. Okay, so then the next question, and this is a little bit separate from board games, but how did you get into art?
私は10代の頃から
Since I was a
漫画を読んだ
teenager,
り
I
絵を
used
描
to
く
read
のが好
manga,
きでした。
especially
で
jump
特に好きだったの
manga.
が、
I
ジャン
would
プを
draw
読ん
manga
でて、
too.
ナルトがとても
My
好き
favorite manga
で
was
すご
Naruto.
く
Because
読
of
んでた
that,
んですけど、
I joined a high
そ
school
れ
that
で美術
specialized
系
in
の
art.
高等
That's how I
学校
got
に進
started
学をし
drawing.
ました。
Wow, that's really cool because I think you got into manga with the same kind of manga that lots of people abroad get into manga with, and it's kind of amazing. Did you specialize in a certain kind of art in school?
ビジュアルデザインっていうジャンルで、
Yes,
P1
graphic
サイズ
design
大きい
and
パネル
visual
に
design.
アクリル絵の具で
I
絵を
did
描いていま
acrylics
した。
on large
これ
B1
は
size
なんか
paper, which is different than
素材がだったりと
traditional
か固定
oil
的な美術
painting.
ではなくて、どちらかというと
I used
社会的なポ
acrylics
スタ
to
ー
do
だったりとか、
posters and
そういう
advertisements, which
近代
is
的な絵
more
に近い
commercial.
デザイン。
That actually perfectly actually leads me to my next question. That's so cool. So, how did you then go from liking board games and liking art to then start working in board games with art?
ボードゲームのデザインをするきっ
Well,
かけになったのは
yeah.
社会人になってから
Actually,
なん
I
ですけ
started
ど、
doing design for board games
一緒に
after
ゲ
I
ーム
had
会で
already
ボードゲ
started
ームを一緒
working.
に遊んでる友達
One of my
が
friends in my game group
も
designed
う
a
同人ゲー
dojin
ム
board
を作っ
game
ていて、
and wanted to sell the game
2016年のゲー
at
ムマーケ
the
ットに出店するときに
2016 Tokyo Game Market. So they asked me to help to do the design for the game.
Can you tell us the name of the first board game that was that you helped your friend in?
Quiz Worker Placement.
That sounds interesting. I need to find that one. Go through the career, like starting Sai's first game and then go through the next ones.
Thank you.
But that actually brings me to my next question. You're good at this interview thing. Can you tell us a little bit of how your career went from? So you studied graphic design and visual design in school, and then you helped your friend with a board game. Can you tell us a little bit more about how your career has grown and changed starting from that first game?
私は
Because my family struggled financially, after I graduated high school, I joined the workforce immediately. Most of my friends went to art colleges, but I didn't. So I felt that I learned a lot of real-world lessons early. I mainly work designing brochures, posters, and package design, things like that. Board games are also made of paper, so it got me thinking about working in board games.
Cool. You took a very non. Oh man, what am I thinking of? You took a very innovative route to it, a very non-common route. So my next question, I am not a designer, so I don't know what the design process is like for working with the game designer and Illustrator, that relationship. So my next question is, what is your design process like?
そうですね。ゲームの
Well, there are actually two patterns that typically happen. One is that the board game designer gives me explicit or specific requirements and then I do that. Oh, the other one is that there is no theme at all, and I get to come up with an idea and suggest it to the author. That's the pattern that I prefer.
That was going to be a question. My follow-up question was, which one do you prefer, actually? Is there a project so far that you've really liked, that you've worked on, that you got to design for?
Do you know Nokosu Dice?
Yeah, I know Nokosu Dice. It is a bit infamous for being very hard to get now because so many people love that game.
そう、Nokosu Dice は私
This game is very memorable work because I was so interested in playing Nokosu Dice before, since the Nokosu Dice was indie games. Nokosu Dice is like trick-taking game. And one day, like I got an offer to redesign the game. Then I really wanted to focus on this project, so I quit my job and then I designed Nokosu Dice as a freelance for the first time.
Wow, that is such a big risk that you took, but I think everybody is happy that you took that risk because not only is Nokosu Dice really, really good, but everything that's followed.
本当に
Yeah, the people I work with are really
よ
nice,
かった
so
と
that's
思
why
い
I
ます。
succeeded, I think.
The next question is a bit more of a personal liking question because I like to throw in some questions that are about you as a gamer as well. What is your favorite genre of game? And who do you normally play with?
私は、一番好きなのはやっぱり
My
劇的
favorite
なゲーム
genre of game
で
is
す。あと
trick
は
taking.
昔の
I
ロープゲ
also
ー
like
ムと
old
か
Euro
エクシット
games
みたいな
and
感覚
games where
系
you
の
use
ゲーム
your
感性を使う
senses
ゲーム
like
が好
Dixit.
きです。で、今京都に住ん
Now
で
I
るんです
live
け
in
ど、京都の
Kyoto,
友達と
so
一緒
I
に
often go
ボ
to
ード
board
ゲー
game
ムカフェで遊
cafes
ぶこ
with
と
my
が多い
friends.
です。
Cool. All right. Yeah, Euros are really good. And it makes sense that you like trick taking games. So you do illustrations for them and you're good at designing and making them easy to understand because you would be the one who needs to read the rules for those. So another thing that you do is you work a lot in localizing games to Japan. What is the process like to localize games?
日本の
Well, I usually get an offer from various small publishers in Japan. From there, I replace the original language with Japanese. For the box cover, Japanese people actually usually prefer the original box design. So when I change the title on the box, I try not to ruin the original artwork and design. That's usually the main point I care about.
Interesting. So is there something you specific? I know you said that a lot of companies will ask you or hire you to do something, but is there something specific you personally look for when deciding what games to localize?
私の経験でどこまでできるのか
Okay,
はわからない
I
です
really
け
don't
ど
know how much
私
input
が
I get
好
for
きなのは
picking,
ラベンス
but
ワー
if I
ガ
could
ーの
pick,
アレアのシリーズ
I
が
would want
す
the
ごく好きで
Ravensburger
多分
Aliyah
今
series.
復刻される
I'm
こ
not
と
sure if
は
they will
あ
ever do a
んまりないと
reprint,
思うんです
but
け
one
ど
day,
日本
if
語
they
版が
decide
出
to
る
do
なら
one,
携われ
I'd
た
love
ら
to do
な
a
と思って
Japanese
います
version.
Yeah, Ravensburger is a big publisher for sure. That would be really cool. I think it'd be good for Japan for sure. So the next one, I think something that's important in localization is kind of the board game scene that is in Japan. So the podcast listeners and YouTube audience have heard me kind of describe the Japanese board game card game scene. How would you describe the Japanese board game scene?
日本はやっぱり
I think Japanese board game culture started from komike, which means comic culture or comic market. At the comic market, Japanese fans draw what they like and make prints with their own money and try to sell it. That kind of turned into board games, or really the board game market. Designers will try to sell their games not through a publisher but by themselves. I think this culture makes selling your own games easier because it lowers the barrier to entry to sales. And I think that's what Japanese board game culture is.
So do you think it's accurate to say that while maybe foreign companies, maybe like a Ravensburger, but foreign countries are more focused on using a publisher, whereas Japanese board games are more for doujin games?
うんそう
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so back to more of a personal question for you, Sai-san. So a lot of people have learned about you lately due to the success, whether it's Portland Game Collective's Kickstarter for 535. I think you're working on Haggis for them too. But I think one of the biggest ones that I've heard your name most often for is Nana. And in Nana, you need to add 2 sets of cards to equal 7. So I want to ask you 2 questions that equal 7. So the first one is 3. What are your top 3 favorite games?
悩みますねこれは
Ooh, this is a tough question.
The ranking is not important. Don't worry about the ranking. Just 3.
残すダイスコードネームハギスです
So you have one
Yes.
trick taker, one climber shedder, and then one party game.
Yes. Yes.
You really are an omni gamer. We say omni gamer in English. Do you say that in Japanese?
This is my first time hearing the word. Is it like all-rounder?
Yeah, we say omni gamer for like you can play anything.
I'm Omni Gamer.
That was such a good example of like I hope everybody saw that. That was like the most Japanese response you will ever hear of somebody going, hey.
Yeah, everyone says that.
I started saying it a lot too. So that was your 3. So now, in order to get to 7, we need a set of 4. So, what are your top 4 favorite art in games? Like, what games have the best art to you?
そうですね。
First, Foppen, then Chow Chow, and Trois, then Ghost Chase.
Do you know? 調べた方がいいかな。
Yeah, nothing recent.
Yes.
Why do you like those art? Why do you like those the best?
どれも
I like these games because they're designed by hand. I love hand-drawn art. Like this. Especially with black lines.
Awesome. Well, I will put if you're on YouTube, I will throw those on the screen as she's talking about them. But if you are listening to it as a podcast, I will put links to those games that she just mentioned below so you can go look them up later if you're driving.
Oh, ありがとう. Thank you.
So Sai-san, this kind of actually goes well because of what you like in board game art, but who are your biggest artistic influences? It doesn't have to be board game artists, but then do you have a favorite board game artist other than yourself?
あんまり
To be honest, I don't really have any particular influences, board game or not, but I do like one, Doris Mateas. I want to be the Japanese version of her. In Japanese, we call her Doris Mateus. I don't know abroad.
I'll have to look that one up later. Thank you.
No, you've probably seen her before. She did the art for Carcassonne.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay. I just didn't know the name. I should really pay more attention to artist names. I'm hoping in all of our podcasts, we always say the designer and the artist, and I hope that more people do that because the art is such a key part of the game. Sai-san, if you could work with anyone in board gaming to do the layout or art for their game, who would you want to work with?
そうですね。
Well, another tough question. In Japan, Taiki Shinzawa, because he makes lots of trick takers. In terms of foreign game designers, I like to work with Michael Schacht.
Oh man, if you did a collaboration with Taiki Shinzawa,
Yes.
I am pretty sure the world of trick taking would explode.
爆発すると思います。人気すぎて。
I don't think they could keep that game in stock because I think probably Taiki Shinzawa was the most famous trick taking designer from Japan, and then add your art.
Yes.
I think you would sell that for $200 US.
Yes.
Yes, I think so too.
So then let's just make it now. All right. So on the Board Game Dojo, June 22nd, we are recording this. We are going to make this happen. That Sai Beppu and Taiki Shinzawa are going to work together, and Board Game Dojo gets 1% of the profits because it happened on our show.
Good idea. Yeah. いいと思います。
That was quick. That was an easy negotiation.
Okay.
All right, so let's move on to the next question. I know it's getting late for you, so we only have a few more questions for you. In previous interviews, so kind of moving from localization and your design process to kind of different designing the game itself to designing rule books, You talked about in a previous interview with Bez, and I will link the interview up here on YouTube or down below if you're listening to on podcast. You talked about really enjoying designing rule books to make it easier to understand the rules. How do you do that? What do you do to make it as easy as possible to understand the rules?
そうですね。基本的には、
Fundamentally, the rules are written by somebody, and then they send me the first draft. I try to read the rules and add some words and reorder the rules themselves. Because where you put the rules and how you lay out the rules and illustrations is really important because they're related. So I make suggestions for this. For example, I care a lot about the reader's eye movement. So I put the illustration close to the related rule, or I put the figure close to the rule it relates to.
Wow, it's those little details that you don't notice that can make a rule book just a little bit easier to understand and can turn a good rule book into a great rule book.
It can be risky though, because some publishers might be annoyed with it and say that's not your job.
Yeah, that seems like a challenge. Is there a publisher that you work with specifically that allows you to do that a lot?
そうですね。結構、
Yeah, fortunately, most of the publishers I work with now accept my edits and recommendations.
Oh, that's good to hear. That's really good to hear. よかった。よかったね。
よかった。
So only a couple more questions, and they're actually more just general questions. As board games become more popular, I think we're going to get more people who want to do what you do. So do you have any advice for people who maybe want to do anything like designing rule books or doing card game illustrations or really just doing what you do? Any advice?
そうですね。
Yeah, if I can say, don't forget to enjoy yourself.
That's important. 大事.
大事。
That's really important.
Yes. Important. Yes.
And finally, for you, is there anything we should be looking forward to? What is coming up for Sai Beppu?
まだ内緒、本当は内緒ですよ。
Oh, this is secret.
本当は
Top
内緒だけ
secret.
ど、お伝えすると、
This is a Board Game Dojo
えーと、
exclusive that I'm not sure I'm supposed to tell.
えっと、
But,
ライナー・クニツィア
let's go.
のゲームの
I'm working on a
リメイ
remake
ク
of a
予
Rainer
告
Knizia game,
とか
and I'm also working on some reprints of currently out of stock trick takers.
など、
Lots of projects going on that I'm looking forward to.
Oh, that is so exciting. Not just the exclusive, not just the exclusive part, but also that kind of stuff is coming.
今年は
Actually, this year, a game with my art will be sold at Essenspiel in Germany for the first time. So I'm really excited about that.
We are going to Eschenspiel probably this year,
Oh,
actually.
Really? Really?
Are you going to be there?
Yes.
You're going to be there?
Yes. Yes. Let's meet. As yes.
Oh, yeah.
行きます。
Yeah.
一緒に会いましょう。
We'll play some trick-taking games.
Ah, yes, yes. Let's play. Yeah.
Awesome. That's really exciting. That's like a nice way to end it. That's really exciting news. If people want to find you, where can they find you? Are you on Twitter? Are you on Instagram? Where can they find your work and kind of keep up with you?
ツイッターで。
Twitter, please. I'm on Twitter.
Okay, and I will put the link to Sai's Twitter in the show notes so that if you want to go follow Sai's Twitter account, you absolutely can. Well, that is going to be all the time that we have for today's interview. Tsumachan, Sai-san, 今日ありがとうございました。
ありがとうございました。Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was fun. I hope you had fun.
Yay.
And that would be it. Thank you very much for listening and watching today. いつもありがとうございます。Until next time. じゃあねー。